The history rotation we follow is based on Ambleside Online's history. We also add some reading supplements here and there, and we store all of our curriculum for year 1 in these magazine file folders. It makes it really easy to keep everything organized and to pull out exactly what we need when it's time for a particular subject. Here you can see that we have all our core curriculum books as well as some of the supplements for the term, as well as our homemade history timeline. To be honest, we haven't been keeping up with the history timeline as much as I would have ideally liked, but since I know that this was a weakness of ours this year, I plan on making it a more prominent part of our history lessons next year for sure. Year 1 history in our curriculum starts in England, and the primary history book used is our Island Story, which can also be purchased under the title An Island Story. Here's a quick flip through of an island story. The stories are quite quick and jam-packed with detail. The historical stories are easy to follow and paint a vivid picture of the story in question. If you're considering using Ambleside Online as your curriculum, I highly suggest perusing their website and all the amazing resources made by some of the amazing homeschool mamas in the Facebook group. One of the best things I've downloaded that I use day in and out are these bookmarks that reference exactly what stories or chapters that you should be doing that week. It makes referencing the right story really quick and easy when you're sitting down with your child and you just, don't have your schedule at hand. Now, I do find that my year 1 pays way more attention to our history lessons when she's strapped in the car, so this year, we have found it best to listen to history while driving to and from errands, and she narrates and asks questions, and we have our history discussion right in the car. We use LibriVox to hear the stories narrated for free by volunteers near and far. It's interesting, really, to listen to different people's accents and reading the chapters aloud, and I think it somehow focuses our attention more.
Our Island Story, Chapter 19.
How Edmund Ironside fought for the crown.
Never before had the Danes come in such splendor and such force.
So tell me, what are some things that you remember about the story?
I remember that like they started fighting, but then one of them said, "Stop! This is no use. We're gonna be brothers instead of enemies."
Very good. Do you remember who said that?
Mama, there's a 111 and we're only on to chapter 20.
We're not going to read the whole book. That's something that we're going to have throughout the years, Mama. You're going to have that book as one of your history books next year, too.
Okay.
So, who was the English king? Who was the one that threw down his spear while they were fighting and said and agreed that they would be brothers? Ironside was his nickname. His name was Edmund. Edmund Ironside, and he was the king of the Englishmen. And so, how long did Edmund Ironside rule for? He said it was kind of short. Do you remember the number?
5 months.
A little bit longer than 5 months.
6.5 months.
Almost 7 months.
7.5 months.
7 months he ruled. That's not very long, not even a year, right?
But it's almost a year.
What did they say? What did the English say? Did they learn and live better under the rule of Edmund Ironside that was only king for 7 months over the Danish king Ethelred? Which one did they feel was a better king?
Edmund Ironside.
Very good. Yep, Edmund Ironside.
Because Ethelred cared for himself only.
Yep.
He didn't he didn't care what happened to his kingdom.
Another great resource I found were these portraits of English monarchs. I knew we would get into some of these toward the end of the year, so I went ahead and I printed them out on cardstock, laminated them, cut, and bound them with a ring for ease. The next core book in our history rotation is 50 Famous Stories Retold. This book is by far our favorite. The stories are engaging, they're pretty quick, and they're very easy to narrate. It's one of the few history books that we have never used an audiobook for. However, popcorn and snacks is still a go-to for me to ensure that I have their attention captured and their mouths busy chewing so we can get through all the readings for the day. We go into narrations immediately after every reading. So that is what a laconic answer is. Can you tell me, what do you think a laconic answer is from that story?
Wait, it's already done?
Yeah, it's super short. What is a laconic answer? What do you think it is?
One word that describes another word.
A short answer to a question is a laconic answer. So they were saying with that big sentence, "We are not afraid of you so long as the little word if stands in your way." That's what they were meaning. But all they said was, if. So that's what they call a laconic answer. Whenever someone who has a lot to say is able to say everything that they mean to say
In one small word.
in one small word or one small phrase. And it makes the other people go,
Like this.
huh?
Like this.
Can you tell me where the people that they brought this word, this phrase, a laconic answer, where were they from? Do you remember the city? It sounds like laconic. Laconia. The next core book in our history rotation is Viking Tales, which are tales of adventures, religious beliefs, and the Viking culture told mostly from the point of view of the thrall or the Viking slave. This particular thrall was a kind of skald who sung or told the stories. And depending on the day and the story being told, we do tend to use an audiobook for this book as well.
Chapter 7 of Viking Tales. Reading by Lars Rolander. Part 1, Harold's Battle.
The next part of our history curriculum has to do with American biographies. The 3 biographies for Year 1 are for George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Buffalo Bill. These 3 books are from Beautiful Feet Books. I sort of wish that they were all the same size, because some are a little bit shorter, some are a little bit wider and taller. But really, that's only for aesthetics, because I like everything to look even on a bookshelf. But content-wise, they're really lovely. They're very engaging, informative, captivating, and they really bring these biographies to life for the kids and for adults as well. The illustrations are really lovely too. There are a few more biographies that will be part of the AO curriculum in later years, and they're available through Beautiful Feet Books as well. So I highly recommend getting the Dallaire collection for these, which is available through Beautiful Feet Books. It includes 8 paperback biographies at a pretty great rate for each one, considering the prices that you might find for them individually. It's completely up to you. It's worth checking out at least. I'll go ahead and put the link down below for you guys. But it happens sometimes. School readings do sometimes happen right before our free reads at bedtime. This doesn't happen quite that often, but it does for these biographies in particular. Once he rode more than 300 miles in one stretch. Outlaws, too, were a danger, but they never caught Bill unprepared. One day, 2 masked bandits jumped out from a hiding place. One seized his pony's head, and the other its tail. Today, I supplemented with the book, If You Lived with the Sioux Indians. I've had this book since I was a child, and I loved it then, and I still love it now. It gives insight into what daily life was like in a Sioux village, and I really think my kids enjoyed it too. They took their teepees along with them. A teepee could be taken apart in minutes and quickly set up again. So that's it. History Year 1 in a nutshell. Hopefully that gave you a pretty good grasp of the books and some of the resources I use and other items. If any questions came up while you watched, please let me know down below. Until next time, friends.